Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to LP Tremors, where we talk all things vinyl and horror. Peter, how's it going?
Hello, Tyler. Good to see you again, sir.
Great to see you too, brother. And so Peter is joining me once again for this ongoing Iron Maiden series, where we are reviewing and discussing every single Iron Maiden studio record, going from debut 1980 all the way to 2021's Senjutsu. And today, given this is the 11th episode, we have Virtual 11.
Right.
So this is coming out March 23rd of 1998. You're going to see two singles show up on this record. You have Angel and the Gambler and Futureal. And also, just like many Iron Maiden studio records of the 90s, this is going to mark the end of another very, very short era of the band. Last studio record to feature Blaze Bayley on vocals. Bruce Dickinson will be joining the band, thank God, once again for 2000's Brave New World and on. And along him will be Adrian Smith. So we will be going over that in the next episode. And also another big significant change, Nigel Green. This is the last studio record produced by Nigel Green until Kevin Shirley will be taking his place on Brave New World and beyond as of right now.
Right.
So this album, very, very mixed. So you either love it or you absolutely can't stand it. So Peter, I'm just gonna take it over to you.
Well, very cool. We're just going to jump right into the tracks here because that's really what this one's about.
Absolutely.
There's nothing really to talk about chart-wise or accreditations or anything because there weren't any.
Not really, no.
So we jump right to the first track, Futureal, 3 minutes. Short track. Harris and Bailey here.
Mm-hmm.
And Bailey, it's like I said, shortest track. It's a driving introduction, strong riff. I think the verses and the choruses are delivered well. I'm liking what I'm hearing. I think Blaze's voice works fine. I don't have any objections to what he's doing here in either the verses or the choruses. First thing that stuck out to me, Tyler, was how strong the solo section was on this.
Yeah.
I mean, this was old school Maiden solo.
It's old school Murray. Yeah.
Oh, this is debut and Killers era Murray. This is great stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the best soloing in a long, long time. I think it's a powerful and disciplined opening track. Sets a good mood for the album. And I love that it may even be just a tight bit too short. But believe me, that's a small nitpick. But there's no random roads they run down, no crazy addition. It's bam, smack you in the face and goes, there you go. Opening track. And I'm like, it works. So, I mean, there's not much more to say in that. It's a strong track and I like how it starts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else I would add from what you said. Everything you said was spot on. I think the lyrics could be better. The lyrics seem a bit cheesy. Like, what is real? Future real. So it's kind of like a cheesy chorus. Chorus, nah. And the lyrics, songwriting could have been brushed up just a tad. But overall, pretty energetic track, very fun. I love the hammer-on pull-off riff you hear in the beginning. And then that kind of riff kind of continues on. And then they do the same riff in that chorus, just a little bit different, but it's a really nice touch. So overall, the guitar work, guitar harmonies, rhythm sections, everything is great here. The only slight nitpick is the lyrics. Lyrics could be a hell of a lot better. Songwriting can just be brushed up. But other than that, very energetic. Reminds me of old school Maiden, especially in that solo, which Peter, you definitely mentioned. Yeah, this track is a banger. It's 2 minutes, 30 something seconds.
It's like 3 minutes long. Yeah.
Perfect. Great opener. And yeah, I honestly could agree with you. It could probably even be a minute longer.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, great track. So this album is off to a pretty decent start here. Blaze sounds good. The band sounds great. Fresh. And yeah, that's a little bit of Futureal. There's not a whole lot else to add.
And that's our review. Thank you for joining us.
Later, guys. But let's get to arguably the most controversial track in the Iron Maiden discography, The Angel and the Gambler, track 2. Peter, take it away.
9 minutes and 51 seconds. We have just jumped from one to the other.
Yeah.
In one song.
Yeah.
By Mr. Harris. Clearly the longest track on the record. And I said, well, that good mood from the opener didn't last long. Got a kind of a Who-like, kind of a plucking string intro. It goes through, and then in the second time, we're introduced to some organ swells. Yeah, I said organ, not synthesizer.
Organ. Yep.
Organ.
Yep.
And that's a new thing.
Yep.
And it kind of becomes pretty prominent in points. The guitars are nice in the verse, but I have to say that Nico's drums are a little bland, and they're not really very driving. They kind of lack a bit of focus. And then we get these keyboard punches that are just so out of character. I mean, it just doesn't seem to fit. And first of all, they're already confused as to what kind of song this is. And we just got started. Blaze is fine on this. Not offensive, but not exciting. So kind of, lukewarm, not one way or the other. And then they keep going to this halftime section that instantly kills any momentum that this song starts to have. And they just keep going back to it. And then they go back to the feel. And then they go back to the halftime. And it's like all of a sudden somebody dropped an anchor behind you and you're like dragging through the mud. And then it's like, okay, pick it up again, drag through the mud. It's just, oh my God.
Yep.
It's just, and then the wheels start to fall off. Don't you think? 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 I'll get more to that in a second. And really, the song should have ended right there.
Probably.
But nope. They go into a completely full breakdown section and build this thing out of like whispers to what? Don't you think? Don't you think? Don't you think? But ironically, another great solo section that I think is really entertaining, but it just keeps going way, way too long. There's no editing or restraint or discipline here. And then, are we ready? Don't you think? Don't you think? And you know me, 66 times.
Yep.
He says it in this song.
Yep.
Not 666, 66.
66 times.
And all I wrote was, the chamber is loaded and the safety is off. It is all yours.
Don't you think I'm a savior? Don't you think I can save you?
Oh my God.
Don't you think I can save your life? 66 fucking times. Kill me. Yeah, this track. I just put one thing down in my notes for this track. Bullshit. Just one word, bullshit.
That works.
This track is just a mess. It's such a mess. Even before, don't you think, don't you thinks. It's just, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like they're clearly trying to experiment with something and it's just not working. No. They don't know what direction this song wants to be. They don't know where to go with this track. And this is daunting. Even if this was like a 3-minute track, terrible. It's just overly cheesy, mediocre at best. The band just sounds flat.
Yeah,
Everybody's just
and if it's only 3+ minutes, they still do it 20 something times if we
yeah,
divide the 66 by 3. That's just overkill.
yeah, exactly. There's not much else to say. This track just sucks. 9 minutes and 30 something seconds.
Yeah, it's just
No, God.
hard to believe what I was listening to.
Yeah, nope. So yeah, this track can royally go fuck itself. And yeah, I have nothing else to add.
Then
Let's get
move
on with track 3. We have Lightning Strikes Twice. Peter, go ahead.
4 minutes, 49 seconds. We got Mr. Murray and Mr. Harris.
Yep.
This one starts out in a 3/4 feel, which is kind of a different thing for them.
Yep.
You could 6/8 or however it is you want to quantize it, but it's got a 3 feel. It's a gentle intro with Blaze. A little more keyboards going on in there.
Yeah.
He's in this lower range without a lot of instrumentation behind him where he needs to sound really big. His voice is decent. It's not a problem. But then it fires in pretty heavy. I think the riff feels really awkward.
That's exactly what I put in my notes. The riff is awkward.
It's stilted.
Yep.
It's even though it's in 3, I just didn't know. It just never felt right.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, and the drumming didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was just kind of off balance, like I was about to fall down the stairs forward. It goes back and forth. It gets heavy, then it gets lighter again, it gets heavy. And then they finally move to a 4/4 section. It's not the best riff. Like the chorus is mainly because it doesn't really fit the rest of the song.
Right.
And then of course, maybe lightning strikes twice, wish it was only 2 times. This lightning strikes a gazillion times, and I didn't even bother counting this one because what's the point? And again, another great solo section.
Yeah. Yep.
Where were these on the last 3 records?
Agreed.
My God, I could. Dave is just on fire.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So great, and he's got that early tone too. Nigel nailed that.
Yep.
It instantly stands out as Dave, and it was just like, wow, that's really cool. And I think it's important we keep mentioning that because we were pretty harsh on him the last 3 records for the solo sections.
Oh yeah.
But now it's the solo sections are great and the material doesn't support it. The irony is that I put Blaze might actually be the best part of this mess. And I'm not sure that's where Maiden wants my thinking to be.
I don't think so either.
But
probably not.
That's where I'm at. So
right.
Over to you, sir.
Yeah, lightning strikes twice. Again, I'm gonna agree with you. It starts off with that gentle little intro with Blaze, and it's passable. It's not offensive. Maybe not the most memorable intro in the catalog, but it's fine. It's there. Passes along. Then it starts to build up into what we call that awkward type riff, and Blaze sounds okay. He's passable. The rest of the band's unmemorable. Just very unmemorable. It just doesn't sound inspired to me. It sounds very uninspired. Sounds like the band is just going through the motions. No real standouts until we get to that Dave Murray solo.
Right.
That's my only thing that's drawing me into this song. That solo kicks ass.
Yeah.
And it, as you said, it could have came off of Killers. It could have came off the debut, where it reminds me of early Iron Maiden.
Right.
That's the only thing I can take away is that solo. Other than that, the song is just bland, just very bland. Doesn't go anywhere. Not offensive, but it's there. It's just there.
Not the standard we're looking for with Maiden.
Not the standard. Not the standard.
Right.
However, that changes a little bit because we have track 4, the Clansman. Spoiler alert, this is one of my personal favorites, but Peter, I'm going to take it over to you.
906, Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
One of the better songs since Seventh Son.
Yes.
Blaze does a fine job. Very heavy riff. And it feels like all of a sudden the energy level, like everybody took their secret energy underdog pill. And they're like, okay, let's go. Strong verses, strong choruses. They sound great. Outstanding dual lead sections here. They are really in lockstep, and it really sounds great. Instrumental playing is very strong. Another wicked solo section with more great dual lead playing.
Now,
at the sake of sounding like hypocrites, he says freedom a lot.
Of course.
But you know what? It works.
I think it works, yeah.
It's more like a battle cry than this ad nauseum repeat till you want to puke thing that was going on earlier. When it's wrapped in that driving full throttle freedom, you're like, that's a fist thrower.
Right.
You're like, go ahead, repeat it all you want. And that really, really works great.
Yep.
And, so context does matter here, folks. Repetitive, just for repetitive sake, can be good or it can be completely awful. And so far, we've had both extremes here. I think it's pure Maiden.
Pure Maiden.
It's pure Maiden and standout, and it was refreshing, and it's just a great track. So
this track is absolutely incredible. I adore this track to death. And you guys can probably guess, this is my favorite song off the record. It's not hard to beat, but it's my favorite song off the record nonetheless. This track is awesome. So kicking off with that nice, eerie, melodic intro. Intro might go on a little bit too long, but it's a great intro. And it definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat for sure. Incredible intro, just goes on a little bit too long. And then you hear freedom. Then it goes batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And again, classic Maiden. The galloping riffs are back. It's loud. It's aggressive. There's a reason why this track is a live staple still.
Right.
And Bruce fucking kills it, but
he does.
He absolutely kills this track, which is a shame. This was not in a Bruce era, but nonetheless, he kills it live.
But it wouldn't Clansman, if all the elements weren't there, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the elements
are there.
Classic Maiden.
All it took was his stronger delivery and a little bigger vocal, and it fits right in with every Maiden track they've played live since.
Right. But yeah, throughout this track, it's just epic Maiden. The guitar harmonies are back. The riffs are back. Incredible solo section. Steve is going back to playing at 1,000 miles per hour.
Yep.
And this track works. This is a huge breath of fresh air coming from, Lightning Strikes Twice and Angel and the Gambler. This is such a fresh breath of air. I adore this track. It's just epic Maiden. It's going back to classic epic Maiden. And when I say, Bruce kills it, because he really does, I think this is probably Blaze's best vocal performance as well.
Yeah.
From what we heard on, this album and X Factor, this is definitely one of his standouts, if you were to ask me. Right. He sounds great. He sounds absolutely phenomenal. Definitely on his A game. This track just kicks so much ass.
Would you agree that if you had never heard Bruce do it, you would say this is just a really great vocal?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's incredible. It's incredible, and definitely my favorite off the record. So yeah, that's a little bit of the Clansman. Going back to classic Maiden. Let's get into track 5. We have When Two Worlds Collide. Peter?
All right, 613. We've got a trio here: Murray, Blaze, and Mr. Harris. It's a moody introduction here, and certainly has a different tone coming off of the relentless energy of Clansman.
Oh yeah.
Again, Blaze is singing well here with some more heavy keyboards going on. Driving riff, good vocal performance. Chorus melody, is strong, but this is gonna go to your original point. Lyrics on these are cringy.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah,
they're pretty bad.
it's kind of like early remedial rhyming, and you're like, okay. Now, I wrote this down, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, knowing my history with this. Some of the opening parts sounded like a really, really bad metal version of a James Bond opening title theme.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. No.
I was just like, no. So if Maiden had done maybe a Bond, this might be how bad it turned out. Let's see. Broken record. I just put He's on Fire. Dave's solo is ridiculous. It's so good. It can single-handedly carry the track.
Right.
It gives you those same goosebumps you get when he and Adrian were trading off stuff in Power Slave or Rime of the Ancient Mariner, or it was sweeping and big and epic, and just Dave, kudos, man, because you were crushing it on this.
Yes.
And then here is the opposite of that same coin. I lost count at 18 times When Two Worlds Collide, and I know there was a bunch more after that.
Yes.
Just a great element here, a bunch of elements that don't match up over here, and they're doing this.
Yeah.
Forget a concept for the record. I'm having problems within a song, having things line up and getting a cohesive feel.
Right.
For everything other than Futureal and Clansman so far, they're just kind of all over the bloody map. So I'm not sure what to expect at this point of the record, because it's kind of so all over the place. I don't even know where they're going next. So
I'm going to be pretty much in sync with you. This is just bland. It's passable. It's okay, but it's just uninspired to me. As far as the song goes, it's very uninspired and very unmemorable. But you said it once again, the solo section is perfect. Again, Dave Murray, he's going back to his roots. The solo section is absolutely brilliant. I wish the rest of the song was that way.
Right.
Because it starts off with a passable intro, okay intro, nothing memorable, nothing crazy. Song picks up once again, gets very repetitive. Band just sounds like they're going through the motions, and you have that solo section. That's pretty much it. There's not much to really say here. It's just kind of
Dave's stuff is so strong that he is actually kind of preventing me from just lighting fire to the whole mess.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
There will be moods where I will listen to this just to hear Dave's solo.
Just to hear Dave's solo, yeah.
And that sounds so strange, but they're that good.
They're that good. That good. But yeah, that's a little bit of When Two Worlds Collide. Very repetitive, very bland, but it has a kick-ass solo from Dave Murray once again. So yeah, there you go. Track 5, When Two Worlds Collide. Let's get into track 6. We have The Educated Fool. Peter, go ahead.
646, Mr. Harris. And now we're starting to get formulation. Repetitive and the intro, another soft intro with Blaze singing. This song kind of feels on autopilot. They use a heavy section which has syncopation, and I'm not drawing conclusion to this stunning song, but only from its rhythmic standpoint. So keep this in mind, folks. It's got that same syncopation as Gethsemane has from Jesus Christ Superstar. I want to know, my God, I want the dun 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 dun. That just goes on and on. And the choruses and the verses are really weak. And that syncopation doesn't really help that. And it doesn't help lock into something, another possibly awkward groove here that kind of doesn't match up.
Yep.
And then formulated again. Oh gosh, the solo section goes to double time. Shocking, right? You kind of predict that one. Dave's great. Goes way too long. And there's these very strange staccato bop, bop, bops that go in the track. And I just went, what the fuck are those? It's just, time will go, but I will follow. Time will go, but I will follow. Takes up an additional 90 seconds of the song. Just pointless.
Yeah.
And then they do this fade out. And then you just out of nowhere, you're like, the educated fool. And you're like, what? It's the only time they even mention the title.
Right.
Nowhere in the song do they say it.
And
I was just like, oh, that just didn't leave a good taste. I was like, what's the next chorus? Because that didn't go down well.
Right.
That track was a mess.
Yeah. Overall, I think this track is fine. Once again, it's very mediocre. This is gonna be an ongoing thing with this record. Wildly mediocre. It's a catchy verse. I'll give it that. Very catchy verse.
I can concede that.
Yeah. You have Blaze kind of singing in sync with the guitar harmonies and the guitar riff, which is cool. It's fine. Blaze sounds a little monotoned. I don't think Blaze is really doing anything too crazy here. He's just kind of singing that one tempo, which I guess it's fine. Right. But I mean, there's great chord progressions, cool riffs throughout. Nice build to the solo. There's a real nice build, a very aggressive build up to the solo. Solo comes in, solo's okay, it's passable. But yeah, overall, still, I'm shrugging my shoulders. It's another just unmemorable, uninspired track. It's fine. It's cool. There's some cool elements here, but there's nothing drawing me in, really.
Are you getting fatigued?
I'm getting a little fatigued.
Yeah.
And
that's the word I used.
And we should also mention this album is relatively short compared to, the rest of the records.
Yes.
I mean, it's probably the shortest out of, going from X Factor all the way up to Senjutsu. This is probably the shortest album. And I'm getting fatigued. I'm getting tired here.
Because they're all kind of front loaded on a small handful of songs that are just entirely too long.
Yeah.
But if they'd even had a semi decent length, then this record would be like Diver Down length. It'd be like 38 minutes. You'd be like, that doesn't seem right in this era. But
exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. There's not much else to add. Educated Fool. It's all right. But let's get into track 7, the second to last track. We have Don't Look Into the Eyes of a Stranger. Peter, go ahead.
8 minutes and 11 seconds, another long track. Mr. Harris, this intro didn't even sound like Maiden.
No, it was awkward as hell.
And then falls into that formulated tick, 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 tick on the hi-hat again. And then I just threw this out here just as what the fuck happened to using guitar riffs to open a song?
Yeah, you're right.
Now, we'll go to the next album and I get my wish on the opening track. But if you go back through many of those earlier records, they started with a guitar riff, and then the band punched in and off they went. No slow bass melodic thing. They're trying to be so over artsy. And I think especially Harris is so guilty of trying to justify or claim some type of progressive moniker or that kind of thing. He's like, oh, here, if I do this, look how artsy and musician like I'll be. And I'm like, you're killing the tracks.
Yeah.
All you're doing is just adding a whole bunch of crap to it. Keyboards are too forward in the mix for my taste. It's a plodding rhythm that, oh, wow, shocking. Now speeds up. The lyrics and the melody don't work for me here.
Right.
Back to the slow section. And it should have ended because it goes into this whisper like breakdown.
Yep.
That should have been the end of it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you thought.
But we get, don't look to the eyes of a stranger. Don't look to the eyes of a stranger. I just said, make it stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could barely finish this track. The last third should have been a completely separate song.
Right. Right.
And then something happens I never thought would happen. So I guess Iron Maiden now plays heavy metal polkas. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is nothing metal about that on any level whatsoever. Nico, me and my bush dog. You're like, what the hell? It's just, oh my God. And then what do they have to bring back? Don't look to the eyes of a stranger. Why? The final musical section, they have this, all of a sudden it's to the end, and there's this fast unison snare drum thing. And it was just like, maybe the worst moment in Maiden's entire career. What is that? I don't believe what I just heard. There was nothing to hold on to on this track for me. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. This
very
track,
long and arduous 8+
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. This track might as well could be Angel and the Gambler Part 2.
Yeah.
This track is just an absolute mess. They're trying to experiment with something that's just not working. They don't know what the hell this track wants to be. So extremely repetitive. One thing I put in my notes is I'm cringing. This is so cringy. Everything from the lyrics to the riffs to the keyboards, it's what the hell am I listening to?
Right.
What happened to my bands? It's just bad. Like it kicks off with this very awkward intro, and you said it perfectly. It doesn't even sound like Maiden.
No.
I don't even know how I would describe this intro. It's very awkward melodies. Don't look into the eyes of a stranger. Okay, I get it. Blaze sounds bad. The band sounds like they're just sitting on autopilot. Yeah, this track it's a mess. It's a shit show, and I have no reason to go back to this track again.
I agree.
It's bad. That's all I can really say. This track just sucks. So yeah, Don't Look Into the Eyes of a Stranger can royally go fuck itself. But thank God we have the last track of the album, Como Estas Amigos. Peter, go ahead.
Well, 526, and the only contribution from Yannick. And I'm not sure how to take your tone, whether you were serious or sarcastic, so we're just going to see what happens here.
We'll see what happens.
I just have a 1-sentence comment here. Sorry, I'm done. I can't do this. I listened through the rest of it, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all I've got. I was exhausted. I was frustrated, confused, and probably a good dose of pissed off.
Yeah.
Because look, and we all have friends, who say things about certain albums and they're like, I give him credit for taking a chance. I give him credit for taking a chance. Well, yes and no. I'm not suggesting bands shouldn't grow. Bands shouldn't
Right.
try new things.
Right.
But it doesn't mean if it sucks that their need for new creativity or risk taking is somehow supposed to make me like it or appreciate it more. I can
Yeah.
do it on one hand, but on the other hand, I actually have to listen to it. And if I can't, it sucks.
Yeah.
And this sucked.
Yeah, yeah. So when I probably shouldn't have said that, but when I said thank God we have this track, what I really meant to say was thank God this album is almost over. I because yeah, I know I wasn't too clear on that, but yeah, I hate this track. There's nothing here. It's just very awkward intro, very tedious intro. It goes on for friggin' 8 hours, and then there's a quote unquote build up, but it's not even. It's just it's so bland. The band is just done, and so am I.
Yeah, I hear you.
This track is just lame. It's just so lame. It's not even mediocre. It's just bad. It's so boring. It makes me want to fall asleep. It's so boring, and it's so tedious. There's no. That's all I have to say about Como Sauce Amigos. Terrible lyrics.
Yeah.
The band is just going through the motions. Song ends.
Well,
There's nothing here.
I got some final thoughts and
Yeah.
rankings such as they are. This was Maiden's first all digital recording.
Mm.
And while parts of it sound really strong, the guitars especially, I love the throwback sound. Like I said, it sounds like circa 81.
Yeah.
For Murray, and which I loved.
Mm.
Steve's bass sounds amazing, but
Yeah.
Nico's drums aren't nearly as strong as they were on X Factor.
I agree. Yeah.
The bass drum to me is MIA. It's so there's no bottom end. So there's no counter punch to all of the high end stuff with Steve and what Nico's doing with his cymbals and snare. There's no counter punch to it. And to me, that's just really awkward.
Right.
It doesn't sound good at lower to mid-level volume. This is a mix that has to be played loud.
I agree. Yeah.
Before it actually kind of wakes up. This is not the one to put on casually at lower volume because it will just make everything worse.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
There were 4 additional tracks that were written during these sessions, but weren't used. Nomad, Dream of Mirrors, Mercenary, and Blood Brothers.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave those as they sit, but just let that percolate in your head for a second. This is the thing I want to talk the most about, Tyler, because I think it's the most important about these 2 records. After listening to this album, it has become so crystal clear to me that there has been a scapegoat, and that scapegoat is Blaze Bayley.
Yeah.
The problem with this album and parts of the previous one have nothing to do with Blaze Bayley.
Right.
These sit singularly at the feet of Steve Harris.
Right.
There is no restraint, no editing, no discipline. They are just in an absolute writing pit, and the material just doesn't hold up and cut it.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap who would be singing. This stuff is subpar on a compositional, editing, and arranging level.
Right.
That is a huge flaw. So when people say, oh, the Blaze era, the Blaze era, well, the Blaze sucked. Listen again, folks. Go back and really listen again. It's not him.
It's not.
If I count the number of times I cringe, it is way more musically driven than it is vocally driven. Yeah. And this guy needs a good chunk of the metal world to say, I'm sorry, I've judged you incorrectly.
Yeah.
We've said this. He's not Bruce. I get it. But no way is he as horrible as you would have people believe collectively when they talk about these two records.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. Some of Murray's best work completely wasted on forgettable tracks here.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
But now there is a more serious problem that has creeped in. This unrelenting and endless repetition is now a serious, serious problem with this band. And unfortunately, it's not going to get fixed anytime soon. And that singular element is going to dominate a lot of what we talk about, at least from my standpoint, in albums as we're moving forward here. The not knowing when enough is enough, the not knowing when to add something to it to break it up, put it in a stronger context, support it with better music, something. But this is broken. And this band is a mess. My track listings, number 1's Clansman. Number 2 is Futureal. Lightning Strikes at 3.
Yep.
When Worlds Collide at 4. And the rest of them are all tied for last.
Yeah.
2 super standout tracks, 2 above average tracks, and a bunch of forgettable tracks. So it's going to get a 4.5 out of 10.
4.5. That's fair.
4 for those really good tracks and a half point because Murray kicked some serious ass.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's what she's going to get.
Yeah, that I think that's very, very fair. So for what I got for a tracklist ranking, again, the last 3 or 4 you can kind of just throw together because they all just kind of either suck or wildly mediocre. But I did come up with some sort of tracklist ranking. I have track 1 being Clansman, absolute banger, love that track. So I got Clansman at 1, Futureal at 2, Educated Fool at 3, When Two Worlds Collide at 4, Lightning Strikes Twice at 5, Como Estas Amigos at 6, Don't Look Into the Eyes of a Stranger at 7, and Angel and the Gambler at 8. But like I said, those last 4 you can probably just throw in a blender and just get a pile of dog shit because, God. So yeah, that is. And also for my overall rating of the record, I actually gave it a 3.5 out of 10.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah, it's not going up from there. It's just, yeah, yeah. If it wasn't for the Clansman, it would have dropped to maybe a 1.5, maybe. But Clansman is on here. Futureal is good. Rest are either mediocre to pretty bad.
Right.
So yeah, that is our full review on Virtual 11. Stay tuned. We are going to be going over Brave New World from 2000. Bruce Dickinson is finally back along with Adrian Smith, and they are continuing with the band for now. So yeah, stay tuned for Brave New World and beyond. And Peter, is there anything you want to plug or anything you're going to be on?
Just been staying busy.
Yeah.
Check all the links from our friends' shows, again, that you're gracious enough to put down in the comments there.
Yeah.
Just staying busy and talking as much music with as many people as I can, and love every second of it. And I was so grateful to be here with you, because this is just such a fun thing to do, and I always look forward to these. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you have followed my channel, you guys know the drill. Just check the description down below. All the channels will be linked. Go check them out. Yeah, you're watching LP Tremors, and to be honest, not a whole lot going on, but just stay tuned for more Iron Maiden discussions. As I mentioned, we will be going over Brave New World in the next week or two, so be sure to check out Brave New World. And again, like I said, we are going all the way up to Senjutsu, so a lot more to discuss, and that's pretty much all we got for you guys. As always, up the irons, and stay metal, stay scared. Bye, guys.
see ya.